Hello everyone, welcome back to Bio with Miss Lisa. Today is our last episode for photosynthesis cellular respiration, and it's photosynthesis in a little bit more detail. Let's just quickly recap what our goals are of the light-dependent and light-independent reactions. So our light-dependent reactions, remember we're going to be converting solar energy into chemical energy in the form of ATP and NADPH. Then our Calvin cycle, or light-independent reactions, is going to use that chemical energy to fix carbon dioxide into sugar molecules. All right. So let's take a look at first our light-dependent reactions, turning that solar energy into ATP and NADPH. All right, so light-dependent reactions can kind of be broken down into two parts, photosystem 2 and photosystem 1. Right? Photosystem 2, it's really trying to convert solar energy into ATP. Its goal is to help produce ATP. Whereas photosystem 1, our goal is to use solar energy to produce NADPH. Actually, I'm going to pause this and reword these quickly. Let's look at how that happens. All right, this is our thylakoid membrane. This is the lumen, or the inside of our thylakoid, the thylakoid lumen. And then outside of our thylakoid, we have the stroma. So here it's like a thylakoid disc. So on our membrane, we have these proteins embedded, and one of them is called photosystem 2. And remember, our photosystems contain chlorophyll, or a pigment that absorbs solar energy. So photosystem 2 contains chlorophyll, and here we have water that is split using solar energy. That process is called photolysis. So our water is split using solar energy into oxygen and hydrogen and electrons. The electrons are given to the electron chain and passed down the membrane. These electrons are energized. They get their energy from solar energy that is absorbed by the chlorophyll. So the solar energy charges these electrons so that they have energy to do work. And what is that work that they want to do? They're going to pump hydrogens into the thylakoid lumen. Okay, so let me just recap this again. My electrons that were given to photosystem 2 by water are energized by solar energy absorbed by chlorophyll. These electrons are then passed down the membrane, and their energy is used to pump hydrogens inside the thylakoid lumen. Once we get a high concentration of hydrogens inside the thylakoid lumen, they're going to want to leave, and they leave through ATP synthase. That mechanical energy from the movement of hydrogen phosphorylates ADP into ATP. So essentially, our photosystem 2 helped us to produce ATP, which was our goal that we mentioned here, to help produce ATP. Over here, so our electrons continue down the electron transport chain to photosystem 1. In photosystem 1, they draw the arrow down here because our electrons don't have a lot of energy at this point. They use their energy to pump hydrogens across the membrane. However, the solar energy re-energizes them, and now they have enough energy to help us do work again. So what does that work? Well, enzyme NADP plus reductase is going to help us, it's going to turn NADP plus into NADPH. So the electrons that were charged in photosystem 1 helped to produce NADPH, and the electrons charged in photosystem 2 helped us to produce ATP. So that is our light-dependent reactions. Feel free to always in the comments leave any questions that you may have. So now that we have produced our ATP and NADPH, now it's time to use that chemical energy to fix carbons into sugar, carbon dioxide into sugar. Let's go through that process quickly. So here's a diagram of that process. Remember, we have a 5-carbon chain here, and we're going to attach carbon dioxide to those chains. So remember, we have 3 of these. We did this little modeling experiment, remember? We have 3 5-carbons chains. We attached our carbon dioxide to each one of these. Then over here, we split these chains into 2 into 3-carbon molecules, right? Into 6 3-carbon molecules. One of these molecules we kind of threw off to the side to make glucose, where the other 5 were recycled so we could do this cycle again. So let's kind of recap this. This cycle here is using carbon dioxide, it's using ATP, it's using NADPH to make sugar. Each time we go around this cycle, it produces half of a glucose molecule or a 3-carbon molecule. After we go through it twice, it would produce 1 glucose molecule. Okay. All right, so those are the light-dependent and light-independent reactions in a little more detail.